Alright, I believe I've solved the riddle of why the areas that were welded look a little different. When I worked on this thing last, a couple days ago, the very last thing I did after it was bead blast, well after I did the filing and polishing on the heel and the side to get rid of that welding that we had in there and the welding we had in there, the very last thing I did before I put this thing in the gun vault was I sprayed it with WD-40. And it sat in there for a couple days undisturbed until today when I took it back out, and I noticed those areas we can see right there, even though that is 100% level, you can't feel a thing, but yeah, you can see. And then even there you could, earlier I showed you where you could see. I know what's causing it. I'm sure I know what's causing it now. WD-40, because it's a preservative, it must have something in it, like maybe some type of a phosphoric acid, which we use for parkerizing. And that would make sense because that would add some protection to the bare metal to keep it from rusting. I'm sure it's only a microscopic coating, but it's still enough to keep it from rusting. And I've noticed everywhere that I've worked on this, that's the color it was when I sprayed it with WD-40 a few days ago, but it's developed more of a little bit of a gray color, from sitting undisturbed. So I'm thinking that that area that's showing up there is because, let's see if I can get a little better shot there. You know the spot I'm talking about there. I'm thinking because they added new metal, and the metal isn't exactly the same composition as the original steel in the receiver, because remember, this one had 21 different elements in it, so it's going to be tough to find a rod that'll match that perfectly. So what I think happened was it parkerized it over those couple days that it sat drenched in WD-40, because I just sprayed it and threw it in the vault. I just left it almost dripping with WD-40. So it had 2 or 3 days then for whatever's in that WD-40, and let's assume it's phosphoric acid. It was able to slightly parkerize the gun, the receiver, but then when it hit that new metal, that slightly different metal, it parkerized it a slightly different color, which makes sense. That's what happens with parkerizing, bluing, whatever. I'm hoping that that's not an indication of future problems I'm going to have when I try to blue it. Once again, though, this has still got to be heat treated back up to the right rock well, so that might eliminate that problem. But I think that's what's answered that question. That was kind of a puzzle to me, why that was so prominent this morning when I took it out of the vault. But I've had all day to think about it, and I'm sure that's what it is. So anyway, I will get back to the filing and see what we can make this thing look like. All right. So we worked our way up this entire side now, and we worked on that rail. Got that rail there all filed. A few little machining marks and stuff were in there, and this piece here, that rail there. And I did the sides of the sight ears. They had machining marks in them. A lot of that's going to be covered by the sight anyway, but. And once again, all that back there is nice. I worked on those letters that were in here that we had filled in with weld. That's all done. You see there's a few low spots here the file didn't touch, but we're not worried about those. That's all hidden under the wood line. None of that is important. Customer doesn't care. I don't care. So we're not worried about that. But just everything that's visible, you know what I mean? Just machining marks. That's all we're trying to get out of it now. So I got all this filed. Just needs to be polished a little bit. But this side is basically done. Now I'm just going to work on this barrel ring, and then work my way down the other side where the clip latch and everything is. So I might have to do a little bit on this side hood too, or whatever. I'll have a look at that, see what it looks like. But anyway, it's coming along nicely. See what she looks like in a little bit. Alright, we're up on top of the barrel ring now, and you can plainly see I passed a file over real quick just to highlight all the machining marks and grooves. You can see a couple tiny pits in there. The inside edge of that barrel ring is really quite rough. A lot of rough finish on there. So right in here on that edge there, we've got to get that filed. But just wanted to let you see a little bit of, you can see we're already eliminating some of those machining marks, so we'll just keep working our way. You've got to be a little bit careful on these barrel rings too, because, let me get my pointer here. I don't know if you've followed along on any of the other Garands I've done, but right here, let's a little hard to see, but right, I think you can see it there, yeah. Right about there, there's kind of a little line, a little, it's machined flat here, and then it becomes round here. And there's a soft line right there that you can't eliminate. I can feel it with my finger. So you got to leave that line there. Plus you got to be careful of that line when you're filing. But that line is still somewhat noticeable. If I rotate the receiver, maybe, yeah, you can kind of see how the light is bouncing off that line. It's not a real sharp one, but it's there. So got to make sure I preserve that. So anyway, I'll keep filing away along the top here, and we'll get that all done. We'll see what she looks like. Alright, so I filed a little bit more on that barrel ring, and now you can plainly see we've still got a few stray scratches in there, a few grinder marks, milling marks, whatever. But the rest of it, this whole little section, now you can see that, I think you can see that line a little bit closer I'm talking about. You can see where the flat, ends, this flat ends, and then it becomes curved. So that's why you get that little line right there. So you got to be careful to preserve all that. But we've almost got all these machining marks out of here. We haven't got too much more to go. So getting close now. Anyway, once I get that done, then I'll work my way down along this edge here, all the way back here, and then I'll get in and get that area there. Once again, we've got a lot of machining marks and issues right there, but we'll get back to that in a minute. So anyway, see how she goes. Alright, we've got that area nicely filed. We've got a couple of tiny, I don't know if you can see them there, a couple of really tiny pinholes that I'm going to either see if I can get them out in the polishing process or take it back in and get a couple of drops of TIG weld added. But anyway, all the machining marks are gone. All our edges are nice and sharp. You can see that body line I was talking about where I kept it. It's nice and straight. Now when I do this curb part, I just got to make sure that I don't come over this line and screw that up. So a little bit tricky, but we'll get it. Everything else looks good. So I'm actually going to get that spot done right now, and then I'll be all the way done that ring, and I'll work my way down this other side. So making good progress. Well, moving right along, we have that whole ring area finished now. Made sure that I preserved that that line right there. You got to be careful. You can see we've got all the machining marks out of that ring. Got some file marks to deal with. That's fine. That in there was really rough. This edge all in here, that was bad. A lot of machining marks and stuff in there. There's that line. You can see now that line I was talking about right here, where the transition from the curve to the flat. So I preserved that line nice. It's not a real sharp line, but it's noticeable after it's parkerized or blued. So, and then got all the way along on here. There's a couple minor pits there. I'm not sure what I'll do with them yet, but all the machining marks are gone. Went all the way along this top edge. That's all done. Did the face of that the sight, part of the sight base or whatever. Got all the machining marks out of there, along that edge there. So it's coming along good. I'm going to work on this now. That's my next project. I'm going to get this that flat section done, get that all done, and then I can work on this little piece on the side and that groove in there. That groove is tough to do, but anyway, we'll get all this side fixed. Might have to put a drop of weld in there, not sure. It's a bit of a ding there. I don't know if I can file that out or not, but we'll see. And we got those issues, but hopefully we can file that out. There's a lot of meat right there, so as long as we don't change the shape of anything. So I'll go along, get that side all finished, and we'll see how she looks in a few minutes. Alright, I hit this with a file just lightly because I want you to see once again just all of the machining marks that are present in these receivers, because once again they don't care. Military use, what do we care? When we parkerize them we don't even care. That's factory. But because this one's being blued, we've got to be a little extra fussy. So I just wanted you to see how rough the finish actually is on a factory receiver. So I'm going to go ahead and file that all smooth, and we'll see what she looks like. Alright, so we're back. We've got this section here filed out really nice. All those machining marks are gone. Turn that a little bit. You can see that all looks really nice, other than still a few stray little dings that are just too deep. Just too deep to try and file out. I don't want to jeopardize the integrity, you know, or the shape or whatever of the receiver. So those few little dings that are in there, just going to have to get some weld added to them. You can see them there. You see I'm getting a little bit of uncooperation from my trusty camera. There we go. So anyway, you can see them there quite plainly. One there, little one there, little one there. But considering what it was a little while ago, it's a damn sight better. So that section is done, or as done as I can do it right now. So now I'm going to work on get this area here done, get that straightened out, and then do the continue my way around the front of that barrel ring. And I did that top part, that's all done, on this side there. But now I want to work my way around the front. Get that done, and then we got our infamous groove. That's still the toughest part to do on these guns. It's a hard shape to duplicate. And probably a little bit around in there. I see a few stray machining marks along in here. I'll have to clean them up. But that's about it. We're getting awful close now. Got all that side done. That's looking good. So all around the barrel ring is good. Inside there, got all that on that edge. Got along the top along this edge. So getting close. We'll definitely have this receiver done today. So anyway, I will keep you posted as I move along. Thank you. Alright, so we've got that barrel ring. See, I've got all the machining marks. You notice it had a slight, see the way the light's bouncing off of it, that there's a kind of a bit of a body line almost right there. So I preserved that, just the way they machined it. It had a bit of a flat right there, so I preserved all that. It's nice and round there. All those machining marks are now gone. I got that spot up here, that's all done. Once again, when you do this stuff, you got to be careful, you know, because you got a sharp line right here, so you don't want to bugger that up. And you got another sharp line right there, so you got to preserve that one. Got to be careful. And then you've got these sharp lines up at the front here. Got that one there and that one there. So you got to, you know, these are a lot of tricky different shapes here, different angles and curvatures, and so you just got to be careful not to stray into another area and knock that line off. You want to keep these lines nice and sharp, so you can see that that's all been accomplished. You know, it's curved where it should be and flat where it should be. And so now I've just got two areas of any concern left, just these two hollows right in here and right in here. I mean, I've got some minor, you know, I've got some edge work to do on these radiuses all the way around the heel, but that's not a big deal. So, but the spots that's still going to require a little bit of time, especially in here, we still got to tackle those. So that's my next project. So should be able to get that done in the next few hours. So anyway, we'll see what she looks like.